Welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment. This video is made with the intention of doing a collective reading. So I'm going to read the energies as to what might be kind of opening, closing, all of that for the collective right now in this time that we're in. I had a few friends and colleagues who have been experiencing some difficulties, and I was called to just see what's going on. Let's check it out. So I'm doing this with the highest levels of love, light intended, and unity consciousness, benevolence for all. So we'll see what the guides have to say. Collectively, we are going through an upgrade, and this can feel awkward at times. It means we have to let go of certain circumstances that may have felt codependent on before. And codependency is a difficult subject to address because we have all at some stage of our life, looking back and reflecting on, or even projecting our reflections into the future, have had some form of codependency at one time or another. And many of us are feeling the strain of depending on something that we can tangibly see, touch, or feel. And this is, I'm being shown a calendar. This is one subject that one of my dear friends is going through. And so we have this idea that time runs on a weekly basis, a daily basis, an hourly basis, by the minute. And yet we also are aware that time is beyond all of that. And simultaneously, time does not work or operate in the same way necessarily that it once did, or we do not operate within the constraints of time as we did at one time in our lives. Therefore, there's a period of catch-up that is happening in the collective where we are running from a particular reality, and I'm seeing running like running a program, running diagnostics, running and moving into another era. And this is mapping or graphing together, one might say, simultaneously. So there's a hiccup, there's a glitch, one might call it. It can feel glitchy. It feels awkward because we are still running on some of the old programs in order to support some of the plans or choices that we had made in the past. Yet the new reality is graphing itself into this old spectrum, so to speak. And so we are being called to redirect our energies in the most peculiar way. Okay, I'm hearing like, is it Mary Poppins? Mary Poppins, is it most peculiar way? Some movie at reference, we'll come back to that. So some of the old, I'm just seeing ideologies, way that we keep track of things, the way that we look forward to things. Everything is feeling a sense of urgency, yet at the same time, we're getting the sense to relax and let it be. And how do we balance the two of these? And this is something that we are learning to do collectively in this now moment. For moving forward, we have much that is being drawn to us, for we have magnetized our collective heartbeat. We have magnetized collectively a deeper resonance that is asking for our higher source to give us more. And so while we are wanting more and we are looking to create more, we are not used to receiving necessarily the more that we ask for. So I'm being called to play with this for a moment. Basically, what I'm seeing is we want something, we're asking for it, but we're being given it, and it's different than what we thought it would look like. It feels different, it looks different. So we're not even aware yet what to do with it. Or some of us don't even realize we've received it yet. So many of us are asking for something to come in a particular package. And I'm hearing there's a wedge being created. So I just keep seeing like these versions of reality, almost like tectonic plates sliding like this. And so it's like we can look up and see one sliding in, we can look down and see one. So it feels off center, it feels shaky. And then once those kind of click into place, it merges. And this is the awkward stage, is kind of what I'm hearing. There's a sense of awkwardness in this stage because we're not really, yeah, let me just come back to that in just a minute. Okay. So many of us are being called to stop on a dime, turn on a dime, change our entire reality quickly and efficiently. Yet how do we do this quickly and efficiently when we aren't feeling so efficient? Yet we are. Many of us are starting to pick up on, I'm seeing sticks, pick up sticks, like that game. So the planetary conjunctions and alignments are having an impact on the human collective, and this is astrology. And while some people make fun of this particular methodology, we would remind everyone that the ancients used it to tracking the celestial movements, to track when to plant and when to build and when to come together in celebration. And so many people have lost those traditions. And moreover, the ancients taught wisdom could be held within the calendar of the stars. And so we're being called to look back towards that. And that's a play on words. I'm seeing look back and then look towards at the same time. So it's simultaneous. And recognize that that container that we exist within, our time, our calendrical time container, holds access to all time. And so many of us are feeling that we are accessing more. And it can be overwhelming emotionally, physically, mentally, when we really recognize how vast this calendar, this calendrical cycle is, and how much is contained within this container. For we are creationary beings, and our very existence is being created now as we speak. And this is difficult to convey. But let's go back to the container that creates our day. For we are creating our day within this calendrical representation of our now moment. And so we're being called to lay out the groundwork as to how we wish to feel in every given moment, and not get caught up in the idea that we must create within a certain contextual increment of a frequency related to an old vocabulary in which we have been indoctrinated into working around. So we are being called to allow it to work around us rather than us work around it. For the ancients and ancestors that are part of our own DNA, that are part of our own heritage, are actually also creationary beings. And they recognized that there were certain moments in time in which to catapult themselves into a new timeline or reality or ability to create because of the incoming energies in such a way that it would enhance what it was they were trying to create. Meaning they went based less off of an idea of what time was, and they went based on more of a focal point on the group, on what was being felt, and through storytelling and exchanging of information and energy in a very communicative, helpful, supportive way was the way. Instead, nowadays, we have been compartmentalized into our technology, into I'm just seeing people looking at their watches constantly. We are constantly interfacing and having a dialogue with a computer-generated I'm hearing remination. This is a play on words. Of reality, when in reality, our reality doesn't truly encapsulate or I'm hearing captivate, encapsulate, like it's a play on words. It's not really held within time. It's merely a construct that is created based on our idea or concept of what time is. And so therefore, we must treat each other with perhaps a bit more a decorum in these now moments, because we are moving into a new chapter or a new phase. And when we move into these new phases and new chapters, I'm hearing new phases of the moon, it creates I'm seeing dust and kind of a little bit of chaos, because it represents the leaving of one energy and the moving into another, or better spoken, the merge of this particular box of reality. It is based on I'm seeing the cosmic clock. And so many of us do not have a perspective on the cosmic clock, for it seems beyond I'm hearing archaic. It seems as if our ancestors weren't as advanced as we are now. They didn't know as much about how time worked, when in actuality, they knew more than what we know now. Meaning, we think we know more, and yet we do not know or hold the entire score. We only have remnants of the particular information that gets us through the day. We are being called to really look beyond the day, yet looking within the self allows us to feel beyond the day. And so let us play with this for a moment. What it is that we are trying to convey through this sing-song way is that we are conjoining with a particular timeline. We are creating with a particular reality structure that we have been asking for, and it is now magnetized to us, and we are at the door. We are on the precipice of merging these particular realities or consciousness strips together, and we'll play with this perhaps at a later time. I'm hearing consciousness strips and consciousness drips, like the brain. We have alchemized to a certain level, and this is extending our ability to level up. It is extending our ability, our attractability. So that which we are drawing to us, that we are attracting to us, that we are realizing is happening in a much more complex movement of divisions. So this is mathematic. This is mathematics. We are reflecting back to us a much more complex variation of this division of reality. And so if we play with that for a moment, this is a new point. It's a new division. It's a new way to reconcile the energies that have given us the opportunity to see more. And sometimes the more that we are able to see causes a brighter reflection, a bigger repository, a bigger sense of smallness in the vastness of what is unfolding before our very eyes. We can feel the template structure overlay, yet we're not exactly sure what it is that we're feeling. It is a massive up-leveling. And as we do this, it takes time for us to match up with these different frequency bows. For when energy bows out, it creates pressure. It creates the need for some of us to bow out. It creates the need for some of us to bow in recognition. I'm seeing bow like it's a gift. It's got a bow wrapped on it. It's a bow of energy. It's a bow on an arrow. It's shooting us forward. It's the bow of a ship, and we're going through the channel. And what's happening is it is massive. And the weight of it can cause us to want to collapse under it. And yet, while we are perhaps going through an internal struggle, feeling the massiveness of this wave of, I'm just seeing like, it's a big push of mankind pushing forward. It may not look like that, but that's what it looks like energetically. If I'm reading the energies, it literally looks like a tsunami of energy. It looks like a wave, or what I'm being shown is like an earthquake, right? The tectonic plates I was using rippling out, and it's really coming from us, but it's also being in. Okay, I'm hearing indexed, timestamp indexed, and also categorized. It's hard to explain, but we're the ones that are creating it. And then we're channeling the energies that are coming from the sun, the astrological alignments. Like the cosmic clock looks like giant gears all moving to work for us. But just because we're a collective doesn't mean we all collectively agree on what it is that we want to see. So this can also create a little bit of I'm hearing wonky geometry. So it's almost like we can see it, but we're not quite in the right angle to receive it. And then all of a sudden we turn to that angle through just circumstance or synchronicity. And then all of a sudden we're just overwhelmed by what we are accessing. And you guys, I think I'm going to have to do a second video on this because I can already hear the questions. Well, what are we accessing? What is it that what does this new timeline represent? What does it look like? And I'm just seeing it has a ripple effect, and I'm hearing string theory, and it's already been created. We've been talking about this for a long time, and here it is. So what I'm being shown is it's not what we thought it was, and it will continue to not be what we think it is. We're being called to let go of what we think it needs to look like, what we think it needs to feel like, what we think or feel that somebody else needs to be following in order to be on this path. It's almost like we're just surfers riding this wave of energy, yet we're also creating the wave. So, but we also have a lot of other people that are creating this wave as well. So there's going to be this, it's much more of a collective and communicative experience that we might be more aware of individually. So we have to counter this, what I'm being shown is the time, and manage our bodies, our time, how we interact with each other, what comes up in our reality. Be very careful not to judge it as one thing or another, because I'm just being shown that as quickly as we make that judgment, I'm being shown that it's going to shift, and collectively another I'm hearing spiral is going to come in. It's difficult to convey when I look at energy and charge and frequency. It's just, it looks like different shapes of light particles, and different pockets of the collective are creating these different shapes and geometries. So I think also sometimes where we live on the earth is going to feel a little bit more enhanced than where obviously, if we're in a big city, it's going to feel different than if we're out in the country. However, we're still being invited and being called to be responsible for balancing out our energy. And I'm being shown a surfer. And I'm being shown, don't forget to put on your safety gear. Like, it's about free flowing. I'm being shown like a surfer without a leash. And if that surfer is not being responsible and they just fall off their wave and their board goes flying, it can knock off another surfer and hurt that surfer. So it's like, be responsible for our vessel, our body. Be responsible. We may not know exactly how to surf or where we're going. We might feel really off balance, but we're still holding ourselves accountable and responsible for that, riding that wave. And I'm hearing just follow it through. So I'm being shown it may not be the most graceful, and I'm being shown like it's a left wave, and we're like, wait a minute, I wanted to go left, but now the wave peeled off and is split. It's mushy in the middle, and I got to keep going this way. I thought I was going this way, but I'm going that way, whatever it might be. And we can look back and see that curl behind us, but we know we can paddle back out and catch another one because it's infinite. So that's the other message that's coming through is, if you feel like you got left behind or you feel like you got off track and the toe pulled us under or out, farther than we planned on going, you still have your board. So you can lay on your stomach and paddle in. It's finding how we need to ride the wave. We might want to just sit there and wait for another set. We might want to go in and sit on the beach and watch the waves until we feel comfortable going out again. We might need time to catch our breath. I mean, it's just different for everyone, but I'm just being shown that there's so many waves that are coming in. Don't feel like you lost your opportunity. There's a huge influx of energy coming in to give us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And what I'm hearing is they all might look slightly different, but they're all coming from the same ocean. So recognizing that each of those different life circumstances that I'm referring to as waves are going to look a little different. They're going to sound a little different. They're going to feel little different. You might want to ride it with the long board. You might want to ride it with the short board. You might just want a boogie board. But essentially, don't judge. Like, I'm being shown that some people are like, no, I'm going to ride this wave. I'm going to use my small board. And then all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And they don't have the proper, they're just holding on for dear life. But what I'm being shown is we're going to get through it. It's a matter of allowing ourselves to make the adjustments as we ride and to recognize that we're still being supported by our board. We're still being supported by this push. And just kind of allow ourselves to feel this rise in energy without getting towed under. And I'm also being shown, boy, this is a big analogy about waves, but I'm being shown big wave riders. And like, we all have a support group. So I'm so grateful for my support group. Thank you, my beautiful friends and sisters. Because sometimes we got to have that person tow us in and pick us up on that jet ski. And we have those. I'm being shown our guides. I'm being shown the beings, our higher selves. Like, I got you. I'm getting goosebumps. So it's recognizing that we're not alone in this. It's an ocean full of surfers. And the people who have those jet skis are going to come in, but we have to, be open to it. We have to ask for it sometimes. And we also have to just trust that they're there, that they've got our back. When I say they, it's not about somebody else coming in and riding the wave for us or changing out our board for us. We need to know a general idea. What I'm hearing is how we feel when we jump on that board. Maybe it's not the day to paddle out. And that's the other thing that comes back to taking responsibility. If we know we're feeling not good about something, then pay attention to that, because that's the energy that's coming in to tell us, take a break, feed the body, try something different, stay on the beach today, get grounded. Oh, and that's another reference to the waves. So it is very emotional right now. A lot of the energies that are coming in are about emotions and about, obviously, the picture that I keep getting is just this massive ocean. So it might feel like we're stuck on the water and we can't find our footing. We're not comfortable surfing. We're not sure what we're doing. But I keep being shown the person on the jet ski going, come on, we got this. We've got your back. Just give it a try. But if it's going to put someone else in jeopardy, even don't do it. Just say, okay, I'm going in. Sit there, get grounded, and allow it. It's about being responsible and getting grounded and doing what we need to do and asking for help if we can't figure it out. It really is, in part, helping support each other. And I'm hearing somebody that is unexpected in our lives might have something valuable to share with us, especially our elders, especially those who have been there, done that. And maybe even though we're in a completely different reality now than they were in when they were our age or our great grandmother or whoever it might be, they've got wisdom to share. and they might actually be riding these waves better than we are. So it's like, don't think you know it all, because as soon as we think we know it all, that's when we're going to get wiped out. And it's going to require us to restructure and to get out of ego and get out of the need to control the ocean. And I'm being shown, like, if you've ever, you guys, I'm not an avid surfer. You can't call what I did in California surfing, but I get it. I did attempt to do it a few times. But my point is that in being shown this big wave, and the people who are watching it can see it, but when we're on it, we can't necessarily see it. You have to feel it. You have to trust. You have to use what you do know. You have to be somewhat loose and solid at the same time. If you're too stiff, you're not going to be able to ride the wave. You're going to hit an impact, fall off the board, and lose it. So you have to find that rhythm. And there's going to be moments when it's easier than others. So I do think this has to do, I keep seeing like the watery planets. I'm seeing emotions surging for a lot of people. And what I'm hearing is, don't be afraid to admit when we need help. So I heard asking for help, but sometimes it's just saying, I can't do this alone. And it might just be reaching out to an elder, or in sometimes what I'm hearing is we can learn from children too. So it's, the idea is adaptability. Don't get locked into, we might be surprised where that help comes from is the message. It could just come from somebody at the grocery store who's bagging our groceries. This happened to me once, who just spouts out these words of wisdom out of the blue. So I'll share this briefly. I was at a grocery store once, I'm getting goosebumps, and I was in it. I was having a really rough time. I was going through ascension symptoms because I was in resistance. I hadn't been taking care of my body. I was not sure. My intuition was on, but I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it was a rough, difficult time in my life, and very painful at the time. And I'd gone to the grocery store, and there was a gentleman bagging groceries who wanted to help me with my 2 bags of groceries. And I was just like, no, thank you, no, thank you. But he wouldn't take no for an answer, followed me outside and proceeded to just stand and talk with me while I was loading my groceries. He was an older gentleman. And I remember I wasn't paying attention. I was kind of annoyed at the time. Like, I just want to get in my car. And then something hit me, and I just stopped and fully tuned in to what he was saying to me. I don't even remember what his words were. I felt them. And I just listened with my body. I'm getting goosebumps again. And I just felt what he was explaining. And it just happened to be a story he was telling me about a difficult situation. And he just was like, sometimes and he spatted out this advice, and my heart just burst open in that moment. I'm getting emotional. And I felt this incredible love for this man and he just calmly told the story, and then, just kind of made a comment like, you're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. And I just said, thank you so much for just sharing that with me. And I stopped, and I even in the moment realized I hadn't really listened to the beginning, and I missed out on some things. So he left, and I was so moved by this experience that the next day I went back to the grocery store, and I wanted to give this man a thank you and a card and like a gift card, just something little, as a real so I could have him recognize how much I valued that moment. I asked the grocery store clerks, managers, no one by his description worked there. I have goosebumps everywhere, getting emotional again. No one by his description worked there. He was an older Black gentleman. He was kind of tall, thin, very calm. He had kind of pretty eyes. He had a very gentle, I was very specific, and I even had his name, I believe, at the time. It's been years. And I remembered his name being somewhat similar to this, that, or the other thing. And they said, no, we have no one that works here under that description. So you just don't know when someone's going to show up in your life that could be a guide, or it could just be a magical moment that is what we needed in that moment. And there's the jet ski, there's the towboat, there's that being coming in to give us what we need, even though we don't know that's what we need. So I'm going to end on that note. Be open to the magic, be open to, being honest with ourselves and recognizing when we need to sit it out, or when we're ready to dive in, or when it's time just to ride out that wave because we're on it. And it's better for us to just ride on our bellies, let it send us in, than to just give up and get pummeled by the water. So these are all, I know, surfer analogies, but apparently that's relevant for right now. So that's my reading for today. I hope someone found this helpful. In love and light, guys. And I know there's more details I could go into, what's going on with the planets and what's going on with politics and all of this, but maybe a different video if I feel like it. In love and light. Namaste.